Good morning po sa inyong lahat. Ito na po yung last reporting namin and sana po may matutunan po kayo sa amin. Before we start, let's bow our head and close our eyes and let's pray. Dearest God, thank you for a blessed morning and for the energy to learn that you lend us despite of the pandemic happening around us. Thank you also for the continuous provision you give us. May you bless each one of us and may you also give light to this world who are slowly getting succumbed by the virus. Amen.
So yung motivation po natin is all about failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the success. So kahit ilang beses man tayong madapa, isipin lang natin lagi na kailangan nating bumangon. Kasi natututo tayo dun sa mga failure eh. Yun yung naging experience natin to be a better person. So, try lagi tayong mag-take ng risk. Kahit alam na natin nahihirapan tayo. Tsaka lagi natin tandaan, nandiyan lang si Lord para sa atin. Yun lang po. Thank you.
So guys, let's start the discussion. Borrowing cost. Borrowing cost is simply the cost or the expense you incurred kapag nangutang ka. Specifically, yan yung interest sa inutang mo. Syempre, kapag nangutang ka, may interest yun unless mabait yung inutangan mo. So, yung interest na yun, dalawa yung treatment yan. It's either i-recognize mo siya as expense or capitalizable. So, let's start kung ano nga ba yung capitalizable na sinasabi. Ibig sabihin lang nun, imbis na i-recognize na expense, i-recognize mo siya as asset. Okay, let me give you an example. So, ito yung situation. Nangutang ka ng 5 million na may 500,000 na interest. Nangutang ka para magpagawa ng building. Natapos yung building at sabihin na lang natin na 5 million din yung cost ng building na yun. Yung interest na 500,000, hindi mo siya i-recognize as expense. Hindi mo siya i-record dun sa journal mo na interest expense. I-record mo siya as building. Isasama mo siya dun sa cost ng building mo. Kaya yung imbis na 5 million lang yung i-record mo na cost ng building mo, 5.5 million yung i-record mo na cost ng building mo. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng capitalizable. So, punta tayo dito sa next discussion. Ano nga ba yung included sa borrowing costs? Ano nga ba yung mga included dun sa sinasabi nating borrowing costs? So, first yung interest na katulad ng example natin kanina. Then, next yung finance charge. Yung finance charge, yung example is yung mga service fee, membership fee kapag nangutang ka. Yung late fees kapag na-late ka ng bayad. Yun yung mga example niya. Then, yung last is yung exchange difference from foreign currency. Qualifying asset. Ano nga ba yung qualifying asset? Yung qualifying asset is yung asset na it takes a substantial period of time to get ready for extended use or sale. Ibig sabihin lang nito, kapag yung asset na yun, matagal gawin or may proseso muna siya bago mo magamit or ibenta. Like, nung example namin kanina is yung building. Syempre, matagal yun i-construct. So, ano naman kinalaman niya sa borrowing cost? Yung qualifying asset, pwede lang tayo mag-capitalize kapag masasabi natin na qualifying asset yung asset na binili natin or in-acquire natin. So, yun nga. Tsaka di syempre, kapag mas matagal gawin yung asset, mas malaki din yung capitalizable na interest niya. So, ito yung mga example. Property, plant, and equipment. So, ito, kahit in-acquire natin or binili natin yung property, plant, and equipment, hindi kagad natin yan magamit. Syempre, isa-set up pa yan sa lugar natin o kaya may testing pa na gagawin bago siya magamit. Kaya hindi siya naka-specific na self-formulated. Syempre, kapag self-formulated, automatic matagal yung gawin. Tayo gumagawa ng sarili natin PPE, di ba? So, ito naman next is investment property. Ito yung mga yung land or building na hindi ginagamit sa ordinary course of business. Next naman is yung intangible asset. Applicable lang tong borrowing cost kapag self-formulated yung intangible asset na yun. Kasi, di ba, may tinatawag tayo na research and development. Matagal yung proseso nun. Kaya, example siya ng qualifying asset. Next is yung made-to-order inventory. Naka-specific siya as made-to-order. Kasi, ibig sabihin nun, hindi lahat ng inventory is qualifying asset. Tulad na lang ng merchandise inventory. Buy and sell lang naman yun. Pagkabili mo, ready na siya para ibenta, di ba? So, yun, ang best example dito is yung katulad nung kay Cynthia Villar, yung mga, ang tawag yun, subdivision. Siyempre, inventory yun ng ano, sabi na lang ni Camellia. Inventory nila yun kasi yung mga subdivision kasi yun yung binebenta nila eh. Next is yung bearer plants. Yun yung ano, may kinalaman sa mga agriculture. Then, mamaya discuss natin yan. Tapos, then, last, yung manufacturing plant. Next is, ano nga ba yung mga hindi kasama or excluded sa capitalization? First, yung biological asset. May kinalaman ulit siya sa agriculture. So, di ba kanina may nabanggit akong bearer plants? Ngayon, i-distinguish natin yung dalawa kung anong pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Yung bearer plants, nag-work siya as parang property, plant, and equipment kasi magagamit mo siya in not just one period. So, let me give you example. Yung coconut trees, kapag may bunga, i-harvest, then aantayin ulit yung season para i-harvest yung bunga nun. Yan yung bearer plants. Ibig sabihin, nagagamit mo siya in more than one period. Yung biological assets kasi, yun yung mga palay or mais na kapag hinarvest mo, magtatanim ka ulit ng panibago. Meaning, one period mo lang siya magagamit. Then sa bearer plant, hindi siya bearer plant kapag pinalaki yung coconut trees para putulin. Tapos gagawing coco lumber. Kasi magtatanim ulit ng bago. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo siya magagamit ng ng ilang beses. Ibig sabihin, isang gamitan mo lang siya. So, next is yung inventory na maramihan yung production at paulit-ulit yung process. Kasi part siya ng operating cycle ng business. Tulad na lang nun yung yung mga mass production na, kunyari, mga candy, mga ganyan, mga sardinas, mga ganun. Hindi siya qualifying asset kasi batch-batch yung ginagawa, tapos paulit-ulit yung process nun. Then, yung mga binili na asset na ready nang magamit. Yun nga, katulad na lang ng mga sa merchandise inventory. O kaya, binili mo yung building na to, nakatayo na siya. Hindi mo na siya, hindi na siya qualifying asset. Kasi, na siya eh. Kasi, ready to use na siya, di ba? O ready to sell na siya. When do we start capitalization? First, kapag nagsimula ka ng gumastos para sa qualifying assets. Like for example, nag-down payment ka na sa mga contractors mo para sa pinapagawa mong building. Next naman, kapag nagsimula ng mag-incur ng interest. Syempre, hindi ka pa makakapag-start ng capitalization kung hindi ka pa nag-incur ng interest. Then, yung last, kapag nagsimula ng gawin yung asset mo. Kapag lahat ng requisites na yan, na-meet, mag-start ka na mag-capitalization. Ibig sabihin, kailangan yung tatlong yan, ma-meet mo para makapag-start ka na ng capitalization. So next, when do we suspend capitalization? Ibig sabihin, kailan ba natin ititigil pansamantala yung capitalization? So ganito yan, kapag na-interrupt yung pagde-develop ng qualifying assets, yun, mag-start ka ng itigil yung or i-suspend yung capitalization. Like for example, may pinapagawang building. Tapos itinigil muna pansamantala kasi may next project na kailangan pag-focusan. Nag-focus ka muna dun sa isang project na yun. Tapos yun, iniwan mo yung previous project mo na building. Yung mga tao mo dun sa building na yun, pinadala mo sa bagong project. Ayun, magsususpend ka ng capitalization. Ibig sabihin, kunyari, yun sa 2 months na yun, kunyari, for example, 2 months kang 2 months mo pinatigil yung yung paggawa ng building. Sa 2 months na yun, i-recognize mo yung interest ng inutang mo as expense. Hindi mo siya i-capitalize. So, ayun. Next naman, kailan natin hindi ititigil kailan ba natin hindi isususpend? Kapag yung delay na nangyari is part ng process para ma-complete yung qualifying asset. Part siya ng process Like for example, sabi dito sa example, yung pagtaas ng tubig, dinelay niya yung construction ng bridge. Yun nga, syempre, tumaas yung level ng tubig. Hindi ka muna pwedeng gumawa ng bridge. Madedelay ka dun. Kaya na-delay ng 1 month. 1 month siguro bago bumaba yung tubig. Sa 1 month na yun, magkakapitalize ka pa rin. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-suspend yung ano doon. Kasi part ng process yun para ma-complete yung qualifying assets. So, yun. So, ito na yung last topic natin. Ito yung when do we stop capitalizing? Kailan ba natin ititigil yung pagka-capitalize? So, sabi dito, kapag yung isa sa dalawang period na ito ay nauna. Ibig sabihin, whichever come earlier. Sino sa dalawang to First period na sabihin ko. First, kapag na-complete na or natapos na ang construction ng qualifying asset. So yun, kapag tapos na yung asset mo, no need to capitalize na kasi tapos na nga yung yung pinapagawa mong asset Balik for example, 5 years yung 5 years na tapos yung project na yun. 5 years interest lang yung yung i-capitalize. Like for example, 10 years yung mag ano ma yung due date sa sa inutang mo. Yung the next 5 years, i-recognize mo na siya as expense. Kasi tapos na Yung first 5 years lang yung i-capitalize. Second, kapag hindi na nag-incur ng borrowing cost or hindi na nag-incur ng interest, ibig sabihin lang nun, kapag bayad mo na yung utang mo. Kahit hindi pa tapos yung construction, kapag nabayaran mo na yung utang mo, hindi ka na pwedeng mag-capitalize kasi anong i-capitalize mo? Hindi ka naman na nag-incur ng interest. So ito, take note, whichever come early sa dalawang yan. Kung sinong mauna dyan sa dalawang yan, kapag natapos na ang construction, then kapag bayad na ang utang, paunahan na sila, tas yun. Tsaka mag-stop ng capitalizing.
So, yung next topic natin is accounting for borrowing costs, which is pag-aaralan natin yung specific borrowing and general borrowing. Tapos may problem din dyan about sa suspension. So ngayon guys, focus muna tayo dun sa specific borrowing. So ano nga ba yung definition or meaning ng specific borrowing? So according to Philippine Accounting Standard 23, paragraph 12, okay? Kapag nag-borrow daw tayo ng fund specifically for the purpose of acquiring a qualifying asset. So yung amount daw ng capitalizable borrowing cost is the actual borrowing cost incurred during the period. And then ililist natin lahat ng investment income from temporary investment. So, para mas maintindihan natin guys, punta tayo dun sa problem ng specific borrowing. So, on January 1, 2020, Kayo Company obtained a loan amounting to 5 million. Specifically to be used in constructing a new office building and to be paid in 5 years. The interest rate is 12%. Before the start of construction, the proceeds of loan was temporarily invested in which it earned interest income of 120,000, which is yung hiniram nilang pera, ininvest nila dun sa temporary investments. So, yung tanong dito, how much is the capitalizable interest if the construction was completed in 7 years? So, kapag specific borrowing guys, madali lang siya. So, identify lang natin kung magkano yung loan amount or principal amount ng loan. So, yung principal amount or yung loan amount is 5 million. So, next, i-determine natin kung magkano ba yung interest rate. So, para makuha yung interest, ang gagawin natin dyan is i-multiply natin yung loan amount na 5 million dun sa interest rate niya na 12%. So, yung interest niya is 600,000. Next, based on the definition of Philippine Accounting Standard 23, paragraph 12, na kailangan daw ililist natin yung investment income from temporary investment. Kaya kung mapapansin nyo guys, nilist natin yung interest income on temporary investment. So, 600,000 na interest less interest income from temporary investment na 120,000. Meron tayong capitalizable interest na 480,000. So guys, para hindi tayo malito kung ano ba yung capitalizable interest, define natin siya or kung ano ba yung capitalizable interest. Pag sinabi nating capitalizable interest, ito yung cost ng fund or cost of borrowing na ginagamit natin sa pag-acquire or pag-construct ng long-term asset. Okay? So yung capitalizable interest kasi hindi siya kagad ini-expense sa income statement ng company's financial statement. So yung kapag nag-capitalize na yung interest natin, so yung interest is idinadagdag natin sa cost of long-term asset. So ganun lang po yung capitalizable interest. So guys, punta naman tayo din sa problem number 2, yung with suspension. So pares lang, same question lang siya, pero yung pinagkaiba lang yung the construction of building was completed within 3 years, but in those 3 years there is 4 months suspension because of the pandemic. So how much is the total capitalizable interest? So guys, punta naman tayo din sa solution ng specific borrowing with suspension. So kagaya lang kanina, dinetermine natin kung magkano ba yung principal amount or loan amount. So yung loan amount natin is 5 million. Then may interest rate tayo na 12%. So magkano yung interest natin? So 5 million times 0.12, so meron tayong interest ng 600,000. Next, sinabi dyan na sa problem, nababayaran daw natin siya within 5 years. Okay? So, ilang months ba meron sa 5 years? Or i-convert natin yung 5 years into months. Okay? So, may makukuha tayong 60 months. Next, magkano ba yung monthly interest payment natin? Siyempre, kukunin natin kung magkano ba yung monthly interest payment natin. So, ang gagawin natin dyan, yung interest na 600,000, i-divide natin sa nakuha nating 60 months. So, meron tayong monthly interest payment na 10,000. So, sa problem, naka-indicate din dyan na natapos yung pag-construct ng building ng 3 years. Pero may suspension siya na 4 months. So, unang gagawin natin dyan, para makuha natin yung capitalizable interest, is i-convert natin muna yung 3 years into months. So, meron tayong 36 months, which is sinasabi na na-complete daw yung building, pero may suspension na 4 months. So, ang gagawin natin doon, sa suspension na yon na 4 months, is ililess natin doon sa 36 months. So, 36 months minus 4 months is equal to 32 months. Yung suspension kasi or pag-suspend kasi, guys, is tinigil yung paggawa. Okay? So, in 32 months, sinasabi dyan na na-complete na yung paggawa or dun lang na-complete yung paggawa sa 32 months na yun. So, 10,000 na monthly interest payment, imumultiply natin siya sa 32 months, which is yun na yung completed months na natapos yung pag-construct ng building. So, meron tayong capitalizable interest na 320,000. So guys, ngayon doon tayo sa next topic natin, which is yung general borrowing. So ano nga ba yung definition ng general borrowing according to Philippine Accounting Standard 23 paragraph 14, which means kapag nagborrow ka raw ng fund, generally for acquiring a qualifying asset, so yung amount daw ng capitalizable borrowing cost is equal to the average carrying amount of asset during the period multiplied by capitalization rate or average interest rate. So, sinasabi dyan sa definition ng general borrowing cost ng Philippine Accounting Standard 23 paragraph 14 na hindi lang siya for asset construction, okay? Or hindi lang siya pag-acquire dun sa pag-acquire ng qualifying asset, may other purpose pa siya. So, unlike dun sa specific borrowing, which is niles natin yung investment income from temporary investment, dito sa general borrowing cost, yung hindi natin siya i-deduct sa capitalizable borrowing cost natin. So guys, punta naman tayo sa general borrowing problem number 1. So, preparation of the following borrowings during the year, both for office building construction and general purpose. So, mapapansin naman natin dyan guys na hindi lang siya for asset construction, kaya siya naging general borrowing. Okay, makikita naman natin yan sa problem yung kung general ba siya or specific borrowing ba siya. So, ito yung, meron tayong principal amount na 5 million or nangiram siya sa bangko or nag-loan siya sa bangko ng 5 million and long-term note na 5 million din. So, may interest sa bank loan na 12% and may sa long-term note naman merong 8%. So, the asset construction is started on January 1 and ended at the year end. Expenditure were as follow. So, habang ino-construct yung asset natin, ito yung mga nagagastos natin. January 1, may 5 million. March 31, 2,500,000. Next, June 1, merong 1,500,000. And August 1, 1,500,000. And December 31 na 500,000. So, paano natin mako-compute yung capitalizable borrowing cost? So, next step pa natin guys is compute for weighted interest rate. So, may principal amount tayo na 5 million sa bank loan na merong 12% interest rate. So, ang gagawin lang natin dyan, 5 million times 0.12 is equals to 600,000 na interest. Next, sa long-term note naman, ganun din. So, 5 million times 0.08 or 8% is equals to 400,000. So, next dyan, ang gagawin natin is magkano ba yung total principal amount ng bank loan and long-term note? So, 5 million plus 5 million is equals to 10 million. And then next, magkano ba yung total interest ni bank loan and long-term note? So, meron siyang total interest of 1 million. So, ngayon, kukumpitin na natin dyan kung magkano ba or kung ilang percent ba yung interest rate. Kukumpitin na natin dyan yung weighted interest rate. So, ang gagawin natin dyan is 1 million, i-divide lang natin siya sa 10 million. Or i-divide natin yung interest dun sa principal amount niya. So, yung weighted interest rate natin is 10%. So, next na gagawin natin guys is yung compute for the average accumulated expenditure. So, yung nakikita nyo dyan na 5 million, 2 million 500, 3 million, 1,500,000, tapos 500,000. Yun yung mga ginas natin sa pag-construct ng asset natin. Okay? So, ganito yung gagawin natin dyan, guys. Kukumpitin natin yung average accumulated expenditure in a fraction of time. Which means, gagamitin natin yung months kung kailan sila na-accumulate. So, in January 1, beginning of the year kasi yan eh. So, buo pa rin yan, 12 months. Okay? 12 months. So, 5 million, multiply natin siya sa 12. Di-divide din natin siya sa 12. So, meron tayong 5 million in March 31. So, yung March 31, mare-regard kasi yan as April. April, diba? So, bilang tayo. April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So, meron tayong 9 months. So, 2,500,000 times 9 divided by 12. So, meron tayong 1,875,000. So, ganun din yung gagawin natin sa June 1, August 1, and December 31. So, meron tayong na-accumulate na expenditure ng January 1 na 5 million. Sa March 31 naman, meron tayong na-accumulate na expenditure na 1,875,000. In June 1 naman, meron tayong 1,750,000 na na-accumulate na expenditure. And August 1, meron tayong na-accumulate na expenditure na 625,000. So, in December 31 kasi, naging zero na siya kasi end of the year na yun eh. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin dyan, i-total lang natin yan or i-add lang natin yan, i-sum up lang natin lahat yan. So, meron tayong average accumulated expenditure na 9,250,000. So guys, nakuha na natin yung weighted average interest rate kanina na 10% and nakuha na natin yung average accumulated expenditure. So ang gagawin natin dyan, i-multiply natin yung average expenditure dun sa weighted average interest rate. So 9,250,000, i-multiply lang natin siya sa weighted average interest rate na 10%. So meron tayong capitalizable borrowing cost na 925,000. So, kung gusto naman nating makuha yung interest expense, ang gagawin natin dyan is ililess lang natin kung magkano ba yung actual borrowing cost niya. So, may actual borrowing tayo na 1 million, ililist lang natin yung capitalizable borrowing cost na 925,000. So yung interest expense natin is 75,000. So lagi nating tatandaan na sa general borrowing yung capital borrowing cost hindi dapat mag-exceed or hindi dapat siya mag-exceed dun sa actual borrowing cost.
Operating lease or lessor. Lease. A contract that conveys the right to use an asset for a specific period of time in exchange for consideration. Si lease in Tagalog ay nagpapaupa. Lessor. Si lessor ang nagpapaupa under the contract of lease. Classification of lease. Finance lease. A lease that transfers substantially all the risks and rewards incidental to the ownership of the asset. Finance lease, kilala sa tawag na long-term lease. Dito kasi si lessee ang mas nakikinabang sa lease asset kasi most of the time siya yung gumagamit ng lease asset. Kumbaga parang sa nandun yung nagmamay-ari under finance lease. Indicators finance lease. Sa first indicators, there is transfer of ownership at the end of the lease term. Sabi ko nga kanina under finance lease, pwedeng malipat yung ownership ng lease asset kay lessee depende sa lease of contract. Sa second indicator, the lease contract contains a purchase option and reasonably certain lessee will exercise the option. Ano ba yung purchase option? Dito binigyan ni lessor si lessee ng right na bilhin yung lease asset at the end of lease term. 3. The lease term is for major part of the useful life of lease asset even if title is not transferred. Ibig sabihin, more than 50% of the useful life yung haba ng lease term. Pero ano nga ba yung quantitative threshold? Quantitative threshold is at least 75% of the useful life. The last indicators, the present value of the lease payment is substantially all of the asset at inception of the lease. So, ano naman yung quantitative threshold natin pagdating sa present value of lease payment? At least 90% of the fair value of the lease asset. Dapat ba lahat netong indicators ma-meet para maklasify natin ang lease as finance lease? Hindi. Kaya kahit isa lang sa apat na to sapat na para maklasify as finance lease. In case na walang ma-meet kahit isa dito sa apat na indicators na to, classifies as operating lease. Operating lease lessor shall recognize lease payments from operating lease as leases, income on a straight line basis over the lease term. Any lease bonus recognized as unearned lease income to be amortized over the lease term. Tandaan, straight line ang recognition ng lease income natin. Lessee. All leases shall be accounted for the lessee as finance lease. Halos lahat ng leases ni lessee ay i-account na natin as finance lease. A lessee is permitted to apply operating lease under two exemptions. Short-term lease, a lease that has term of 12 months or less of the commencement date of the lease. Yung short-term lease, at least the lease term is 12 months or less. Low-value lease. This is a matter of professional judgment as the standard did not provide quantitative threshold from low-value asset. Yung low-value lease, mababa lang yung value ng lease asset. So, paano natin malalaman kung gaano kababa? Magiging reference kung magkano ba siya kapag bago yung item. Example, yung kotse. Magkano ba ang kotse kapag brand new? Diba nasa 1 million? So, masasabi ba nating low value lease yung kotse kapag brand new? Syempre, hindi. Masyadong mataas ang value niya kapag brand new.
Hello everyone, this is an example transaction for an operating lease. The first one is on January 1, 2020. Simple company purchased a machinery for 3 million cash for the purpose of leasing it. The machine is expected to have a 10-year life and no residual value. So to record it, we debit machinery worth 3 million and credit cash 3 million. And then, noong April daw, pinarentahan ito ng simple company sa isang entity for 3 years and ang monthly rental niya is 50,000 payable at the beginning of every month. So from April to December, we have accumulated 450,000 na rent income. So to record it, we debit cash for 50 and credit rent income for 50. And then, noong April 1 din, Simple Company received a security deposit of 600 to be refunded upon the lease expiration. So, ano nga ulit yung security deposit? It is a liability for the Simple Company kasi it will be refunded pagkatapos ng contract lease. So, para din kapag bumibili ka ng soft drinks sa tindahan, na imbis na 30 pesos lang yung ibibigay mong bayad nung soft drinks, is bibigay mo is 45 pesos. Pag binalik mo yung bote, mas susoli sa'yo yung 15 pesos mo. To record the security deposit, we debit cash since may natanggap tayong cash na 600,000 and credit liability for the rent deposit. The next one is in addition to the rental, Simple Company received from the lease a lease bonus of 120,000 on January 1, 2020. A lease bonus is an income for the Simple Company because it is a bonus given by the lessee. Pero hindi to ma-record directly as income. Kailangan muna natin tong i-record as an earned rent income. So to record the lease bonus, we debit cash 120 and credit an earned rent income. On April 1 din, Simple Company paid initial direct cost of 300,000. Such costs are directly attributable to negotiating and arranging the operating lease. This initial direct cost is not capitalized because it is a direct cost that is related to the lease. So, this is an expense to the Simple Company to make the lease possible. Normally, we credit it as debit expense and credit cash, but since it is good for the next 3 years or yung span ng lease term, we record it as deferred initial direct cost. So, to record this transaction, we debit deferred initial direct cost na 300,000 and credit cash 300,000. The next one is, during the year, Simple Company paid repair and maintenance of 20,000. So, syempre, kailangan pa rin na i-maintain ng Simple Company yung machine, yung maintenance ng machine. Unless may pinag-usapan ang lessee at ang lessor na si lessee na yung mag-shoulder ng maintenance. So, for this transaction, we debit repair and maintenance 20,000 and credit cash 20,000. Ang lease bonus natin is amortized over 3 years or 40,000 annually. So, to compute for the income for this year, which is ang na-accumulate natin is from April to December, is we multiply 40,000 to 9 months. So, we have an answer of 30,000. To record this, we debit an earned rent income 30,000 and we credit rent income 30,000. The next one is the depreciation of the machinery. So, ang lifespan ng machinery ng Simple Company is 10 years and it has a cost of 3 million. So, to get the annual depreciation of the machinery, we divide 3 million by 10 years. So, we have the answer of 300,000. To record the transaction, we debit depreciation 300,000 and we credit accumulated depreciation of 300,000. Note that the depreciation is from the date of acquisition and not from date of lease. The reason is that the machinery is acquired for leasing purposes and already available for the intended use, meaning for rental from January 1, 2020. Idle property is subject to depreciation as long as it is available for the intended use. So the next one is the recognition of the initial direct cost as expense over the lease term. So for the computation of the amortized initial direct cost, we have 300,000 divided by 3 years and multiply it by the months being accumulated over 1 year. To record this, we debit amortization of initial direct cost na 75,000 and credit deferred initial direct cost na 75,000. Unequal rental payments. Under IFRS 16, paragraph 81, ang lease payments daw under an operating lease, dapat daw nire-recognize ang income on a straight line basis. This simply means that where the operating lease requires unequal cash payments, the total cash payments for the lease term shall be amortized uniformly on the straight line basis as rent income over the lease term. Ibig sabihin, kung ang lease term mo is 3 years at ang rent income mo for that lease term is 3 million, every year dapat ang nire-recognize mong income is 1 million. So, paano kapag ang bayad sa'yo is unequal? So, here's an example. IA company office space to another entity for a 3-year period beginning January 1, 2020. Under the terms of the operating lease, rent income for the first year is 1 million and rent income for the next 2 years is 1,250,000 annually. However, in an inducement to enter the lease, IA granted the lessee the first 6 months of the lease rent-free. Para makuha natin yung kung anong amount nung kailangan nating i-recognize as income for 1 year, kailangan natin kunin yung average annual rental. So, our average annual rental is 1 million. So, paano natin nakuha yung 1 million? Sa 2020, we have a rent income of 1 million. Pero since libre nga yung first 6 months, madidivide to into 2, which is 500,000 na lang ang makukuha nating rent income sa 2020. Sa 2021, we have 1,250,000 and sa 2022, we have 1,250,000 din. So, all in all, total rent for 3 years is 3 million. So, 3 million divided by 3 years, we get the 1 million na average annual rental. Here's how we record an unequal rental payment. So, 2020, may marireceive tayong cash payment na 500,000. Ang dapat nating i-record na rent income is 1 million. So, magdadagdag tayo ng another account which is ang rent receivable. Magde-debit tayo ng cash, 500,000 and rent receivable, 500,000. And then, credit ng rent income na 1 million. Sa 2021, makaka-receive tayo ng 1,250,000 na cash. Ang rent income lang natin dapat na i-record is 1 million. So, yung rent receivable last year is mababawasan ng 250. So, to record, debit cash, 1,250,000, credit, rent income, 1 million, and rent receivable, 250. Sa 2022 naman, makakatanggap ulit tayo ng cash na 1,250,000 and magre-recognize ulit tayo ng rent income na 1 million. Yung another excess na 250 ibabawas ulit natin sa rent receivable. So, magre-record tayo ng debit cash 1,250,000, credit rent income 1 million, and rent receivable 250. Just take note na yung rent receivable natin is magko-close din lang yan after ng lease contract.
For the next topic, direct financing lease in the point of view of lessor. In a lease, there's a two-party which is the lessor and the lessee. The lessor owns the asset wherein incur the right of use of the identified asset that is being transferred going to the lessee. Now, let's classify the lessor in the direct financing lease. On the part of the lessor, a finance lease is either the direct financing lease and the sales type lease. A direct financing lease is usually financing business, a third entity, while the sales type lease is a dealer. The main distinction between the two is the present or absence of a manufacturer or a dealer profit or loss. A direct financing lease recognizes only interest income, while the sales type lease recognizes interest income plus the gross profit on the sale. Direct financing lease. The lessor in a direct financing lease is engaged in the financing business. Thus, a direct financing lease is an arrangement between a financing entity and the lessee. The best example of financing entity here in the Philippines is a is BDO Financing and Lease Corporation. The income of the lessor is only in the form of interest income if it is direct financing lease. No dealer profit is recognized because the fair value and the cost of the asset are all equal. For further understanding of direct financing lease, let me give you an example scenario. A lessee wants to acquire a commercial oven and it would be bought from another entity, but the lessee has no capability to pay it in full amount, but only in down payment, and the rest of the balance will be paid in monthly periods. To continue with the transaction, the lessee will look for a lessor company and apply for a lease. Once the requirements are met, the lessor will directly pay that company in full amount. And please take note that the asset is named under the lessor because there is a possibility of repossession once the lessee failed to pay the lessor. And the lessee will not only pay the value of the asset or the balance amount of the oven. He will also pay the interest of the asset because the lessor or the financing business earns through the interest that is included in the asset. Accounting consideration: A. Gross investment, B. Net investment in the lease, C. Unearned interest income, and D. Initial direct cost. For gross investment, it is equal to the gross rentals for the entire lease term plus the absolute amount of the residual value, whether it is guaranteed or unguaranteed. For the unguaranteed residual value, the lessee does not recognize the unguaranteed residual value in the computation of the minimum lease payments and the capitalization of the leased asset under the obligation, and for the realization of which by a lessor is not assured or is guaranteed solely by a party related to the lessor. While guaranteed residual value, it is included in the minimum lease payments, which require the lessee to capitalize the present value of the amount guaranteed. Take note that this guarantee is made by a party related to the lessor. For the next one is net investment in the lease. It is equal to the cost of the asset plus any initial direct costs paid by the lessor. It can be equal to the present value of gross rentals. Letter C, unearned interest income. It is the difference between the gross investment and net investment in the lease. And letter D, initial direct cost. In the direct financing lease, the initial direct cost is usually paid by the lessor and added to the cost of the asset to get the net investment in the lease. Then, the initial direct cost is already been included when the asset was acquired in the beginning. This would effectively spread the initial direct costs over the lease term and reduce the amount of the interest income. For further understanding, here's an illustration. On January 1, 2020, a lessor company leased a machinery to another entity with the following details. Cost of machinery, 1,518,650. Annual rental payment payable at the end of each year, 500,000. Lease term for 4 years. Useful life of machinery is 4 years. Implicit rate is 12%. And the present value of annuity of 1 for 4 years at 12% is 3.0373. The initial problem is the determination of the annual rental, which will give the lessor a fair rate of return on the net investment in the lease. The procedure is to divide the net investment in the lease to be recorded from rental by present value factor of an annuity of 1 for a number of periods of 1 using a desired rate of return to get the annual rental. For the computation, gross rentals or lease receivable is computed by dividing the cost of machinery, which is 1,518,650 by 3.0373. It is the present value factor, and you will get 500,000. you will multiply it for the lease term, which is 4 years. The present value of gross rental is equals to the net investment in the lease or the cost of the machinery itself, which is 1,518,650. You will get an earned interest income of 481,350. For journal entries, debit lease receivable 2 million, credit machinery 1,518,650, and an earned interest income of 481,350. It is still unearned because it is not yet paid by the lessee to the lessor. And for the annual collection of the rental is recorded as follows: debit cash 500,000 and lease receivable 500,000. For the table of amortization, the unearned interest income of 481,350 is recognized over the term following the effective interest method. The payment represents the annual rental. The interest is equals to the preceding present value multiplied by the interest rate, and the principal is the portion of the rental payment after deducting the interest, while the present value is the balance of the present value after deducting the principal payment. 1,518,650 is multiplied by 12 and equals to 182,238. 500,000 minus 182,238 is equals to 317,762. From the present value of last January 1, 1,518,650 minus the principal, which is 317,762, is equals to 1,200,888. And please follow the same step until you get the zero in the 2023. Now to record the journal entries for the recognition of interest income. Year 2020, debit and earned interest income 182,238, credit interest income 182,238. For 2021, and debit and earned interest income 144,107, credit interest income 144,107.
Direct financing lease with initial direct cost. On January 1, 2020, lessor company leased a machinery to another entity with the following details. Cost of machinery, 1,518,650. Annual rental payable at the end of each year, 500,000. Lease term, 4 years. Useful life of machinery, 4 years. Implicit interest rate before initial direct cost, 12%. Present value of annuity of 1 for 4 years at 12%, 3.0373. On January 1, 2020, lessor company paid initial direct cost of 66,300. So, sa direct financing lease with initial direct cost, kailangan natin kunin yung net investment and unearned interest income. So, para po makuha natin yung net investment, kailangan nating ipag-add yung cost of machinery and initial direct cost. So, cost of machinery, 1,518,650 plus 66,300 is equals to 1,584,950. So, yun po yung net investment in the list natin. Dahil sa inclusion ng initial direct cost sa net investment in lease, magkakaroon ng effect of spreading the initial direct cost over the lease term. So, kailangan nating ipag-minus yung gross rentals sa net investment in the lease. Para makuha natin yung gross rentals, yung annual rental payable na 500,000, ito times natin sa lease term na which is yung 4 years. So, 500,000 times 4 years is equals to 2 million. So, yun yung gross rentals natin. Tapos, minus net investment in the list na 1,584,950. So, yung unearned interest income natin is 415,050. Dahil sa initial direct cost, mababawasan yung implicit interest rate in the list natin. So, yung original interest rate of which is yung 12% cannot be applied because of added initial direct cost. Kaya yung new implicit rate kailangan ay mababa sa 12%. So, it could be 11%, 10%, or 9%. Bali, yung procedure is tumutukoy sa present value of gross rentals that will equate the net investment in the lease of 1,584,950 using a particular rate. So, try natin yung 11%. Using 11%, need natin munang kunin yung present value of annuity of 1 for 4 years ng 11%. Para makuha natin yon, ang gagawin natin is 1 minus, open parenthesis, 1 divided by, dalawang open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.11, close parenthesis, raised to 4, tapos dalawang close parenthesis, is equals to 0.341269025. Divide natin siya sa 0.11 is equals to 3.1024. Yun yung present value of annuity of 1 for 4 years at 11%. So, yung present value of gross rentals is equals to 500,000. Ito times natin siya sa 3.1024 is equals to 1,551,200. So, yung amount na nakuha natin, which is yung 1,551,200, hindi parehas sa net investment in the list. So, 11% is not the new interest rate. Next naman nating itry is yung 10%. So, need natin uling kunin yung present value of annuity of 1 for 4 years at 10%. Para makuha natin yon, 1 minus, open parenthesis, 1 divided by, dalawang open parenthesis, 1 plus 0.10%, close parenthesis, raised to 4, plus dalawang close parenthesis, is equals to 0.31699. Tapos, i-divide natin siya sa 10%, is equals to 3.1699. Present value of gross rentals is equals to 500,000 times 3.1699 is equals to 1,584,950. So, yung amount na to, nagkataon na parehas siya sa net investment in the list. So, yung bago nating implicit interest rate is 10%. Next naman is journal entries. Yung 66,300, ito yung initial direct cost. So, i-record natin siya. Debit, machinery, 66,300. Credit, cash, 66,300. Next naman is debit, lease receivable, 2 million. Credit, machinery, 1,584,950. Credit din natin is unearned interest income, 415,050. Next is yung annual collection of rental. I-record natin siya as debit cash, 500,000. Credit, lease receivable, 500,000. Next naman po is table of amortization. So, sa table of amortization, need po natin kunin yung interest, principal, at present value ng December 31, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So, yung payment po, kumakatawan po siya sa annual rental, kaya 500,000. So, ngayon po, kunin na po natin yung interest, principal, at present value po ng December 31, 2020. So, unahin po muna natin yung interest. Para po makuha yung interest is equals to preceding present value times interest rate. Yung interest rate po, yun po yung 10%, which is yung new implicit interest rate na nakuha po natin kanina. Bale, interest rate equals 1,584,950 times 10% is equals to 158,495. So, yun po yung interest ng December 31, 2020. Next naman po is principal. Para po makuha natin yung principal, kailangan po natin ipag-minus yung payment at interest po na nakuha natin. So, principal is equals to 500,000 minus 158,495 is equals to 341,505. Yun po yung principal ng December 31, 2020. Next naman po, present value. Yung present value, para po makuha natin yon, kailangan po natin ipag-minus yung balance of the preceding present value after minus principal. So, present value is equals to 1,584,950 minus 341,505 is equals to 1,243,445. Yun po yung present value ng December 31, 2020. Yung sa December 31, 2021, 2022, tsaka 2023, ganun lang din po katulad sa December 2020 para po makuha yung interest, tsaka principal, tsaka po yung present value nila. Next po, dito po sa table of amortization, makikita po natin yung December 31, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. Kompleto na po yung interest, tsaka yung principal, tsaka po yung present value niya po. Ayun po yung sagot po. So, next naman po, journal entries. Yung journal entries po ng table of amortization. I-record po natin is, sa December 31, 2020, debit po natin is unearned interest income, 158,495. Credit naman po is interest income, 158,495. Next naman po, December 31, 2021, debit po natin unearned interest income, 124,344. Tapos, i-credit naman po natin interest income, 124,340.
Direct financing transfer of title to lease. On January 1, 2020, lessor company leased the machinery to another entity with the following details. Ang cost of machinery is 3,449,600. Ang residual value is 500,000. And ang useful life ng and lease term is 5 years. Ang implicit interest rate is 8%. The present value of an annuity of 1 in advance at 8% for 5 period is 4.312. So the annual rental is 3,449,600 divided by 4.312. So we have 800,000 na annual rental. Yung annual rental na yan yung nandyan na din yung annual interest income natin. To compute for the total amount of the interest income, we have gross rentals minus the net investment or the cost of machinery. So, ang gross rentals natin is 800 times 5 years. We have 4 million. And minus mo yung 3,449,600. So, we have a total interest income or total unearned interest income na 550,400. Here is the table of amortization for this example. I won't discuss it again since na-discuss na din naman kung paano yung steps nung mga naunang examples. Next is the journal entries for the transfer of title to lease. So sa January 1 sa 2020, we debit lease receivable na 4 million and credit machinery na 3,449,600 and an interest income unearned interest income na 550,400. And then, in that same date, we debit cash 800,000 and credit a lease receivable na 800,000. So, December 31, we debit an unearned interest income na 211,968 And ang interest income, ika-credit natin ang interest income na 211,968. Sa 2021, magre-record ulit tayo ng cash na 800,000 and a lease receivable na 800,000. And sa December 31 ng 2021, magre-record tayo ng income natin. Magde-debit tayo ng unearned interest income na 164,925 and credit interest income 164,925 hanggang sa matapos na din yung lease term natin sa 2024.
Borrowing cost. Ito yung cost or yung expense na nai-incur mo kapag nangutang ka. Included yan yung interest at yung mga finance charge. Ang issue dito sa borrowing cost is it's either yung kung yung borrowing cost mo is capitalizable or i-recognize mo siya as interest expense. Next naman, punta tayo sa operation lease and financial lease. Para mas madali natin maintindihan, i-distinguish natin yung dalawa. Kapag sinabi natin operation lease, yung kontrata niyan is short term lang. Tapos kapag sinabi ng financial lease, long term yung kontrata niya. Tapos, yung ownership naman sa operation lease, kapag natapos yung kontrata, mariremain pa rin yung kay lessor or yung kung sino yung nagpapaupa. Hindi siya matatransfer kay lessee or dun sa umuupa. Kabaliktaran naman sa financial lease. Sa financial lease naman, matatransfer siya dun sa umuupa. Like for example, sa mga condominium, di ba? Nagbabayad ka na monthly. Kapag nag-lease ka dun sa condominium, nagbabayad ka na monthly, tapos, at the end of the contract, mapupunta sa'yo yung condo na yun. Pero dito sa operation lease, hindi. Pa rin yun, sa nagpapaupa pa rin yun. So, punta naman tayo sa nature ng contract nila. Sa operation lease, rental agreement. Kasi nga, upa lang talaga yung usapan nyo. Sa, sa financial lease naman, loan agreement. Kasi nga, parang inutang mo yung asset na yun sa kanya, tapos babayaran mo yun monthly hanggang sa matapos yung kontrata nyo. So, punta naman tayo sa maintenance. Kapag maintenance naman po, yung sa operation lease, ang magme-maintain is yung lessor or yung nagpapaupa. Sa financial lease, ang magme-maintain is yung lessee or yung umuupa. Ito yung risk dito sa financial lease kasi ikaw yung magme-maintain ng asset na gusto mong i-acquire. So yun, sa wakas, natapos na rin yung reporting namin. Last reporting of the century. Yun, sana may natutunan kayo at mag-ingat po kayo. Maraming salamat and God bless.